coming up this week on the center of it all. Looking to have a night out but also help benefit your community, Home D Pizzeria is hosting an event doing just that. And you know the WWE belts, but did you know they are made here in Central PA? We want to see how it's done. Mel is cooking up the perfect winter comfort food, and our pet this week is a bouncing beagle looking for a forever home. Don't go anywhere, it's all coming up next right here on the center of it all. Welcome to the center of it all. We are joined with two guests today in the studio. We're with Elizabeth Pantel of Home D Pizzeria and Jordan Gibby from the Centre County Women's Resource Center. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So they're here for a reason, and you guys are hosting a event coming up for the Resource Center. So first, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about what the center is for people who might not have heard of it?
Yeah, so the Centre County Women's Resource Center is the local domestic violence and rape crisis center. So we provide a variety of services for people who've experienced domestic and sexual violence. And I say people, our name comes from our history of being started by women, but today we serve men, women, transgender people, anyone who has experienced violence, we're there to help them. And we do that through crisis counseling, shelter services, economic empowerment, a variety of things to just help those survivors be able to move forward with their recovery and healing, and then also try to prevent violence from happening in the future.
How long have you guys been running here in Centre County?
We started in the 70s, so in 1978 is when we started as the Women's Resource Center, and that was kind of at the beginning of this movement throughout the country of women coming forward and recognizing the abuse that they were experiencing in their lives and working to change that in society.
That's amazing. So Home D is actually hosting an event for them, and you were telling me how it was actually you contacted them.
Exactly.
So what is the event, and kind of what made you want to be a part of something?
Home D Pizzeria and Robin Hood Brewing Company, we do a lot of booster nights and fundraisers for anything from Little League teams to charities to other organizations. And I was thinking we need to get more women in, we need to build up our happy hour business, get more ladies, and what better than a ladies' night out? And invite some other people to sponsor things. And I reached out, I'm like, why don't we benefit a women's charity? So I called up and I said, look, we're gonna do this for you. What do you think? And it's turning out to be a great event.
So what can people kind of expect if they choose to show up? What is the event? What do you guys have going on?
What we do on a regular booster night is from 5 to 9 p.m., 10% of all of our food sales at our Home D State College location will go to benefit the Women's Resource Center. And from 7 to 9 is actually the event. We've got $6 martinis, cosmopolitans, and gimlets that night. And we have a raffle. We're selling raffle tickets, and we have some amazing prizes from some great donors.
So how has the community kind of reacted, or what kind of feedback have you gotten when you kind of told them that you guys are going to have this event going on?
What do you need from us? What can we do for you? What can we give you? No one that we've asked for a raffle prize has said no.
Wow.
We actually are almost to the point where we have too many. Yeah,
my goodness.
It's been fantastic.
How many other businesses and things do you guys kind of have involved with this?
About 15 right now.
15?
And to name a few, Converse Jewelers, Top Trees Golf Resort. We have tooth whitening. We have some massages. We have Harper's, CO2, Willie's Woodshed, just to name a couple off the top of my head. So it's going to be fantastic.
So is this kind of the first year that you guys have done something like this?
We've done fundraisers all the time. But this is the first time that I'm new to the company, but this is the first time that we've really reached out to do something to get more involved with the community. So
you seemed a little surprised when she mentioned how many vendors and things are going on. Is that, you seemed a little, I guess, impressed with how big this is getting here?
Definitely, yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, it's amazing, as you mentioned before, that this came from the community. We have such a supportive community here, and Home D started this out, and they're reaching out to other people supporting us. Where so many other places, it has to start from the agency and be asking and asking for money, but we appreciate the generous support that we receive.
So what kind of is the ultimate goal here at the end of the event? What is it that you hope to
bring more awareness to their organization, number one, and have a fun night for all of our ladies, or men can come too, but to bring, just to raise more money, raise more awareness about domestic violence and how we can get more involved and help.
So how can people get involved with the center if they want to volunteer or anything you guys have coming up? How can people kind of come to you and help out?
Yeah, there are a variety of ways to volunteer for us. That's a great place to start. And one of the best ways to do that would be to go to our website. There's a Get Involved tab that can explain the different ways to volunteer or to donate different, whether that be goods or financially. So those are ways to help out. And also for those who may have questions about our services, we have a 24-hour hotline. So that's something that people can call any day of the year, middle of the night on a holiday. We have a counselor advocate available to help either people who've experienced violence themselves or people in their lives who are really just looking for ways to support them and help them out. So yeah, that hotline number is 1-877-234-5050.
Well, perfect. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out and joining us here in the Center of It All and kind of talking about the event. I'm really excited for it here in the next few weeks. We're going to take a short break and continue with the Center of It All right after this. Welcome back. A local belt maker shares his story with us about how he started making belts for World Wrestling Entertainment. Let's take a look.
From Hulk Hogan to The Rock and countless wrestlers in between have laid claim to the WWE Championship, and all have worn a belt made by Wildcat Belts of Latrobe. Owner Andrew Lazarchik is turning his childhood passion into a thriving business.
I was always a wrestling fan when I was a kid. I mean, that was my thing. I still don't watch football or baseball or anything like that. Wrestling is it. And I used to really be enamored with the showmanship, the entertainment value, the props, the outfits that they would wear. So the belts came along with that.
Wildcat Belts is born in 2005, after Lazarchik spent several years as a promoter, manager, and referee. He gets his first big break later that same year.
May of 2005, I sold my first belt. That was my first official belt, Wildcat Championship belt, was in May of 2005. Sold it, and then one turned into two, and then two turned into four, and it just grew and grew and grew. And
now, after 12 years in the business and having achieved his dream of making numerous championship belts for WWE, he still gets a kick out of seeing his belts on TV.
I'll have a belt, I'll be making a belt for WWE, and it's literally right here, on this kitchen counter on Thursday, and on Monday, it's on international television.
While Lazarchik's passion will always be creating belts for professional wrestling, he realizes that his business needs to expand into the corporate world, as noticed by this sales championship belt.
Most of it is not wrestling. When I first got into it, that was the goal. I'm going to get in the wrestling business. But as I did it, I started getting orders from corporations for salesman of the month type things, or fantasy football groups do a ton of fantasy football belts. And as I grew, I realized, the wrestling belts, that's one thing, but there's only so much of a call for wrestling belts. I want to expand this into, something more than just wrestling. So corporate awards is really what I'm focusing on.
One of his biggest corporate clients is Nathan's Hot Dogs in their annual 4th of July contest. Nathan's rejected a proposal from Lazarchik to upgrade their belt, but after the reigning champion Kobayashi lost the belt, Major League Eating, the event's governing body, turned to Wildcat Belts just days before the event.
June 27th, I believe it was, I get a frantic call from Major League Eating. The gentleman, Kobayashi, lost the belt in Japan. We need a new belt, and we need it in a week. This is one of those situations where it's like, okay, I can do it, and then I hang up, and I'm like, oh crap, how am I gonna do this? I get on the phone with my engraver, I start talking to him, I'm like, hey, look, here's the deal, this is a big deal, we're gonna get a lot of business from this, what can we do? We figured it out. I worked on the leather while he was doing that, got the jewels, and sure enough, I got it all done, got it shipped out July 3rd by 10 a.m.
Wildcat Belts has a belt for practically any budget. Prices range from $375 to $3,500, and Lazarchik takes us through the production process.
I'll do the artwork on the computer, that's where my design background comes in. Send it off to the client, so then once it approves, I send that off to a metal engraver. They take care of doing all the metal work. It comes back to me, and in the meantime, I'm either working on the leather or having the leather made, and then I'll do all the painting, the jewel work, color fill, put it together, it'll be done. But that does take about 10 to 12 weeks because there's a lot of back and forth with the art, a lot of back and forth with just getting the metal done, getting the leather work done. So there's a lot of steps involved.
Lazarchik is proof that you can make your dreams a reality, and every Wildcat belt is a work of art and a labor of love. For the Center of It All, I'm John Stroh.
When we come back, Mel is in the kitchen making the perfect winter comfort food. Welcome back to the center of it all. The winter, snow, and cold weather makes me want to stay inside and just cuddle with something warm. This week, Mel is making a meal with one of my favorite foods, mashed potatoes.
I love the snow, as long as I don't have to go out in it. That's why I always keep the ingredients on hand to make my family their favorite comfort food meal. Join me this morning while I make meatloaf and mashed potatoes. I've sprayed 2 standard size loaf pans with some no sticks cooking spray. I've put 3 pounds of extra lean ground beef in a nice big bowl. I'm going to lightly whisk 2 whole eggs. Pour them in. Set this aside. And now I'm going to make my binder. And what I use as a binder are saltine crackers. Don't roll your eyes. They are superior to breadcrumbs any day of the week. And what you want to do is you just want to crush these with your hands. You don't want to make crumbs out of them. You want bits and pieces in this bowl. This is 4 ounces or 1 sleeve. There. Okay. Add 1 cup of whole milk. Stir these around. Now I'm going to have to let these sit for about 5 or 10 minutes so that the crackers can absorb all the milk. And in the meantime, I'm going to move over to the stovetop and saute the veggies. My veggies have cooled about 15 minutes, which means I can touch them without them burning my hands. I'm going to take my ground meat, which has my 2 eggs. Take your jewelry off, girls. There's only one way to do this. Get your hands in it. Give that a good mix. We're going to get all of these softened saltine cracker crumbs or crackers. It's real pasty, real thick, really good. These are my secret weapon in lots of things. Mix these in. Stir. It helps if your ground meat is kind of a little bit come to room temperature for about a half an hour or so. Makes it a lot easier to mix everything together. Now, for the last part, the grand finale, all of these sauteed vegetables, getting in all of the butter in the bottom of the pan. I should be going towards the camera, but us left-handers have problems with that. And now I'll get this all mixed in. Okay, that's done. I'm going to wash my hands, and when I come back, we'll get these in the pan. I've divided the meat mixture in half. It's about a little bit shy of 2.5 pounds in each one. And I've formed them into loaves, but what I really like to do is I like to pat and press them out nice and flat. And they're still going to bake up like a bread. They're going to get a dome on them, but not quite so severe. And I think they just look prettier if you take just a moment to do this. pop these into a 350-degree oven for an hour and 15 minutes, and about 45 minutes through, I'm going to boil my potatoes. I've cooked and drained 3 pounds of cubed gold potatoes. They're steaming hot, and I'm sticking them into the steaming hot stock pot that I cooked them in. I'm adding 6 tablespoons of really soft butter. And about 30 grains of salt to start. And the same with a nice peppercorn blend. I love a peppercorn blend in mashed potatoes. It makes all the difference in the world. Now I'm going to toss this around till the potatoes are all coated in melted butter. And we're going to start by adding about a half a cup of cream, and I'm not using milk. You can see the chunky pieces of cream. This is cream, real deal cream. And we're going to start smashing and mashing. I use an old-fashioned handheld potato masher or vegetable masher. I'm not a proponent of a ricer for Yukon Gold potatoes. But I love a ricer if I'm using russet potatoes, which are drier. These are a really creamy textured potato. You invest in your local gymnasium to do this and get them to build up your arm strength. I'm going to add a little bit left of the cream. Give this another stir. I'm going to keep mashing and smashing. And I think I have about 10 minutes left on my meatloaf. So when I'm done mashing these, I'm going to put a lid on them and put them back on this burner, the still warm stovetop, and just keep them warm until it's time to eat. Meatloaf and mashed. It's the #1 dish served in diners all across America, and for good reason. It's all-American comfort food that we can all love, anytime, anywhere. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.
As usual, Mel's food did not disappoint and was just as good the next day. When we come back, we meet a friendly beagle who needs your help in finding a new home. Welcome back. Nittany Beagle Rescue has a few new pups who need your help in finding a new forever home. Let's take a look at who Sam has for this week's Pet of the Show.
Thanks, Alicia. I'm here with Nancy Ann. She's a 7-year-old beagle from Nittany Beagle Rescue. She's currently at a boarding kennel, so she would love a foster or an adoption. She's been good with kids when we've had her at the Petco showings. She's great with people. She really loves attention. She loves people. She is, as you can see, a little bit overweight, but that's just she was abused as a pup there, and so now she tends to overeat. But we have her on a diet, and she's pretty active, so I think if she got into a foster home and had the chance to get regular walking and someone to really keep an eye on her diet and everything, she would lose weight pretty fast. I've had her in the car, and she's pretty good, especially if you give her a toy, something to distract her. She'll just sit there and chew her toy. She is very food responsive, so I think she'd be easy to train if you wanted to train her a little. She's good with kids, she's good with people. She's okay with smaller dogs, but she gets intimidated with large dogs. And because of her treatment when she was younger, she is possessive of food and toys, so you have to be careful with her around other dogs if she has a toy or if she's eating or with treats.
For more information on all the beagles available at Nittany Beagle, visit nittanybeaglerescue.org. That wraps up this week's Center of It All. Thanks so much for joining me. Stay warm, have a great week, and I'll see you next time.